Alright, so in the last video we made it so that we could add contacts to our database. We added it and we're getting a response down in the console. We're also setting it to this.list, which is the list array right here. So since we have that filled, we can loop through that and output it in our template. So let's go up above here and let's see, we'll go right under the form here and let's put an H1 and then we'll say contacts. Actually, this up here should say add contact. So let's change that. Okay, and then let's put in a UL here, and we're going to give this UL a class of list group, and then it's going to have in here we'll say li, and this is what we want. We want to loop through the list, through the contacts, and output an li. So in Vue, instead of doing a for each around the li, we're going to go ahead and use a v4 attribute. Okay, so v4, which is similar to, I think it's ng4 for Angular, if you're familiar with that. So v4 equals, and then we're going to say contact in list. All right, and let's also give this a class of list group item. All right, and then inside this li, we want the contact's name, so contact.name, and actually, you know what, we'll just put after that inside brackets we'll do the email, and then let's see, we'll set another set of brackets and say phone. Okay, now we also want an edit and delete button. So actually, before we do that, let's just save this to make sure that that works. Yep, so there we go. We have John Doe, we have his I actually don't like the brackets though. Let's get rid of those. And let's wrap this in strong. Wrap the name. Alright, so I guess that's fine. Then we want the edit and delete buttons. So let's go down here and let's put in a button. Okay, it doesn't need a type. It doesn't need a name. Okay, what it does need is an event. Now in Vue, what we can do is we can just use the @ symbol, and we can say the event that we want, which is the event type, which will be a click. And then we want to call a function called show contact. All right, and then we want to pass along the contact ID. All right, and let's give this a class of btn and then btn default. All right, and let's make it really small too. So we'll say btn xs. All right, and then the text will just say edit. And then under that we want the delete button, so I'm going to just copy this. And then when this is clicked, it's going to call delete contact. It's going to pass along the ID just like it is here. And let's change this to from default to danger to make it red. And then the text is going to say delete. All right, so we might get an error. No, we didn't get an error. All right, so we have the buttons. Now if I click it, we're going to get an error because there is no show contact. There is no delete contact. So let's go create those down here. Okay, right in our methods. Let's see. So we'll go right here and we'll say show contact. And what we want to happen is we want the contact info to go into the form. So we're going to say let self equals this. And then we're going to make an Axios call. Axios.get. And then in here, let's do, let's see, we're going to do API / and then contact / and then the ID. which we can just concatenate right here. We'll say ID, and by the way, this should be passed in an ID. All right, and let's see, let's get rid of the semicolon, and then we want dot then, and then in here we'll have a function, and this is going to get a response. And then what we'll do is we'll set self.contact.id, we'll set that equal to the response we get .data.id, and we're going to do the same for the other three fields. Okay, so this will be name, this will be email, and phone. Okay, and then let's see, we just want to set edit to true. Remember, we have this edit value up here, right here. It's set to false by default, but when we click edit, we want it to switch to edit mode. So let's go outside of the then. We'll actually go right here, and we'll say self.edit.true, or equals true, sorry. Alright, so let's save that, and we'll give it a shot. Click edit, and there we go. So that contact goes into the form. And also notice that it now says update contact because it's in edit mode. And then when we submit it, it's going to call update contact. Actually, I'll go ahead and do that, and you'll see that it says updating contact 1. Okay, so let's get rid of this return. And we're basically going to do kind of the same thing we did with the create contact. So I'm going to just copy this, and then we'll go down to update and paste that in. Now, instead of going to, well, first of all, instead of making a post request, it's going to be a patch. And then it's going to go to API/contact/ and then the ID. Okay, which comes in from right here. And let's see what else we need to do. So .then response, we're going to clear the form, and we're going to set edit back to false, and then we're going to fetch the list again. So that should work. Let's go ahead and save it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another contact. Let's say Steve Smith. Alright, so now let's go ahead and click edit for Steve Smith, and let's change it to Steve, we'll say Smithers, and update, and now you can see that Steve Smith is now Steve Smithers. Alright, so we can now read contacts, we can add them, we can update them. Now we just need the delete. So let's go ahead and add that function. So right down here we'll put a comma and we'll say delete contact function. Okay, and let's see, this is going to have an ID. And we're going to make a request with Axios. So we'll say make sure it's a delete request, and it's going to go to API/contact/ and then the ID. Okay, then we'll do .then. Okay, that'll get a response. And then all we're going to do here is we're just going to call fetch patient list again. Not patient, contact list, sorry. Self.contact. I initially was going to do a patient store instead of contacts, but got a little too complicated. So let's see, self.fetch contact list. And then let's see, we'll just do a catch right here in case there's an error. Okay, that'll get past error. Alright, and we'll just console log that. So let's save that, and let's go over here and reload, and let's, whoops, what's going on here? Let's see, 105. Delete contact. This should have a colon right here. All right, so let's click delete for John Doe. And there we go. So he's now deleted. So we have a full CRUD application. We're using Vue.js on the front end. We're using SQLite as our database. All right, so it's something a little different than previous projects. All right, so hopefully you guys like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next project.